Justice will never be served because Kelly will never be coming home.
Tough words spoken by a mother who will never see her daughter alive again. It took a jury mere hours to convict this man, John Wilson Jr., of murder, guilty of all the charges brought against him.
This is a horrific crime, and clearly anyone who is a parent, who's a mother, who's a father, who has teenagers, this crime hits home.
After the verdict, there were tears and hugs for family and friends of the O'Loughlin's. Kelly's dad wrote a prepared statement remembering his child.
We always will remember her infectious smile, her friendship, and her laughter. She enriched the life of all she touched, and we are grateful for the outpouring of support during these 3 years.
Kelly's mom had some words for the people who stood with her.
All the support during the trial. Without you guys, I would not be here where I am today. I'd probably be crawled up in a ball someplace in the house. All I can do is thank you, thank you, thank you.
Wilson Jr.'s defense attorneys tried to convince jurors they had the wrong man, but a hat found inside the O'Loughlin home with his DNA and taunting text messages sent from Kelly's stolen cell phone were part of the mounting evidence that convicted Wilson Jr. Kelly's family and friends embraced the verdict.
An update now to a story I've reported on for a dozen years and a family I've gotten to know well in that time. Kelly O'Loughlin was just 14 years old, a student at Lyons Township High School who loved tennis, camp, and her friends. She was murdered in her home in 2011 by a man who broke in looking to rob the house. After killing Kelly, he used her cell phone to taunt her mom and even continued to do so at trial. Kelly's parents, John and Brenda, have never in a dozen years spoken the name of that man, so we won't now. But today we learned he died in prison at the age of 50. The Illinois Department of Corrections is not releasing his cause of death or saying whether it was of natural causes, only that it's under investigation. Kelly's mom shared the news today and is using it as an opportunity to tell others how her daughter's legacy exemplifies Kelly's middle name, Joy. The Kelly Joy O'Loughlin Foundation has given out $789,000 in college scholarships, built a cabin at Camp Tecumseh, and paid for kids to go there to experience what Kelly loved so much. Her mom writing on Facebook today, "The day has come for Kelly Joy to rest in peace. You may not be here with us physically, but your legacy lives on. Kelly Joy, your light will never be extinguished."
A 6-year-old Kentucky boy killed during an overnight burglary, and we've learned his accused killer is a man from the north side of Indianapolis. 32-year-old Ronald Exantis is a registered nurse here in Indianapolis who state officials say didn't have any complaints against him. Police in Versailles, Kentucky say Exantis broke into a home early this morning and stabbed 6-year-old Logan Tipton to death with a kitchen knife. Exantis struggled with the boy's father, who held him for police. He is under arrest for murder and burglary.
You know, anytime something like this happens in our community, it's tragic. When it happens to a child who is, you know, not able to defend himself or is too young to defend himself, it obviously hits home for a lot of us as police officers.
Ronald Exantis was in court today in Kentucky, where a plea of not guilty was entered on his behalf. He is being held on a $1 million bond. Prosecutors say Exantis was traveling through the area when he stopped. Police say he did not know the victim's family. No word yet on why he allegedly stabbed the young boy.
It didn't take long for people to begin showing their support for Logan Tipton's family. In less than 12 hours, a GoFundMe page has already raised more than $20,000 for the little boy's funeral. And tonight, the community gathered for a vigil at Falling Springs Park football field in Versailles. Sean Moody was there. He continues our team coverage.
It might not seem possible to brighten a day like this, but the people of Versailles had to try on the Tipton family's darkest day.
Not right. Not right. As a father, your job is to protect your children.
Logan's dad, Dean, called his daughter a hero.
This girl right here, my oldest daughter, fought this guy off until I could get upstairs. She fought this grown man trying to kill them until I got upstairs.
But not before 6-year-old Logan was killed.
I wasn't quick enough to get to Logan's.
A lot of the people out there on the field didn't know the Tiptons, but they felt drawn there anyway. The family thanked them all for coming out, and Logan's mom, Heather, had a request.
Got something I want everybody to help me with.
She said Logan was afraid of the dark, so she'd comfort him by singing Silent Night.
I'd like everybody to please help me sing that just one last time for me. Silent night, holy night.
All those candles won't burn forever. It'll take a lot more love from the community to keep the Tiptons out of the dark.
The Indiana man suspected in the brutal killing of a Central Kentucky boy was back in front of a judge today.
Police say Ronald Exantos stabbed Logan Tipton to death during a home invasion in Versailles last month. He is facing capital murder, burglary, and assault charges. WKYT's Hillary Thornton is in Versailles now with the latest on the case, and that is our top story at noon. Hillary?
1 month ago, 6-year-old Logan Tipton was stabbed to death while sleeping inside of his Versailles home. Today, the man accused of murdering the little boy went before a judge, entering a not guilty plea. It was a tense morning inside the courtroom as the Tipton family filled the first 2 rows. It was their first time seeing the man accused of killing their little Logan. The circuit court arraignment for Exantos held inside of the district court building, a decision the Woodford County Sheriff says was made out of the safety concerns for Exantos and the families involved. Sheriff Wayne Wright says the building is easier to monitor and also easier to move Exantos in and out of. Once inside of the courtroom, the attorney for Exantos entered a not guilty plea. She also asked that any evidence the Commonwealth has be turned over as soon as possible so they can really start preparing for what she says is not a typical murder case.
The case is very anomalous. It's unlike any of the 8 capital cases that I represent. This gentleman has absolutely no ties to this family, no ties to Kentucky. He's never been in Kentucky except to drive through it, to my knowledge, to get to Florida. And we know nothing. Our client's not able to really tell us much of anything. He's mainly delusional. When he's not delusional, it's been very difficult to communicate with him.
Now, as for the mental state of Exantos, his attorney says she cannot comment on what, if any, treatment or evaluations he has been through. She did, however, say that he was, quote, actively psychotic when booked into the jail, and she says she does not believe he has been himself since she met him that day.
Exantos' trial is now underway in Lexington.
His lawyers admit Exantos fatally stabbed 6-year-old Logan Tipton in Versailles in 2015, but they want the jury to understand why they say it happened. Exantos is accused of driving from his home in Indianapolis, choosing a home at random in Versailles, breaking in, getting a knife in the kitchen, going upstairs, and stabbed the child to death while he slept. The trial was moved to Lexington due to publicity. ABC 36's Kelsey Thord takes you inside the courtroom to show you what happened.
It was an emotional day here at the courthouse as Logan Tipton's family took the stand for the very first time, describing in detail the events that led up to Logan's horrific murder while his accused killer sat silent just feet away.
Dean, do you see the man in the courtroom today?
Yes, I do.
Could you point him out for us?
It's him right there.
Tense moments in the courtroom Monday as Dean Tipton, Logan's father, took the stand, describing what happened after his kids woke him up in a panic in the middle of the night in December of 2015.
I hustle up to the top of the stairs, and when I get to the top of the stairs, he's standing there, and he's coming down with a knife to try to stab me with a knife.
Coming at you with a knife?
Yes.
Tipton says he fought with Exantos for what felt like a lifetime before police showed up and arrested Exantos. And that's when Tipton said he realized Logan was hurt.
And it wasn't 10 seconds later. He looked hurt, glanced up at me, closed his eyes, and that was it. He died in my arms.
During opening statements, Exantos' attorneys did not deny their client killed Logan Tipton, but say it was due to a psychotic break. and are arguing Exantis is not guilty by reason of insanity. Now, this is expected to be a long trial. The court has it scheduled to go on for about another 3 weeks. And if at the end of that, Exantis is found guilty, he could face the death penalty.
The jury is recommending the maximum prison sentence for Ronald Exantis after finding him not guilty of the most serious charge against him. The jury has asked the judge to sentence Exantis to 20 years in prison for charges related to the murder of 6-year-old Logan Tipton. ABC 36's Kelsey Thord was back in the courtroom today. She's live with more.
Amber, like you said, the jury is asking a judge sentence Ronald Exantis to 20 years in prison. That's for 3 assault charges he was found guilty but mentally ill for in relation to Logan Tipton's murder. Now, all of this comes just less than a day after the jury spent close to 12 hours deliberating the verdict in this case, ultimately finding Exantis not guilty by reason of insanity for the 2 greater charges, the actual murder of Logan Tipton, as well as for the burglary charge he faced for breaking into the Tipton home. Now, the jury did, however, find Exantis guilty but mentally ill of those 3 lesser assault charges. Those charges carried a minimum sentence of 5 years in prison and a maximum of 20 years. The jury recommended the maximum, a decision Logan Tipton's mother accepted but isn't fully happy with.
I'm glad he at least got something that was the maximum that he could get. Unfortunately, the jury failed us in the murder of Logan. But we're not done. We're not finished. There will be more to come of this.
Now, that more Heather is talking about is some sort of victims' rights bill that she says she hopes to help craft in the future to help protect what she calls more vulnerable victims like young children and the elderly. Now, Exantis' sentencing hearing, the official hearing, will be on April 24th back in Woodford County where this crime happened. And even if a judge sentences Exantis to that 20-year recommended sentence, he could still come up for parole as early as December of next year.
Tonight, and only on News 2, the parents of 5-year-old Allison Griffer speak publicly for the first time since their little girl was killed.
1 year ago today, Allison was shot and killed while she slept in her West Ashley home. The Griffer family recently spoke exclusively with News 2's Rebecca Ryan. She joins us with the story. The healing continues for that family.
You know, it really does. Initially, investigators thought that this was just an attempted home invasion, and then they decided it must be a case of mistaken identity. And in their exclusive interview with me about the murder, William and Jennifer Griffer recall what happened that night, and they share how their family has found strength to move forward. And the most interesting part of the story, they have a picture that they believe predicted the little girl's death. Drawn the night before she was murdered, the parents of 5-year-old Allison Griffer believe this picture was a foreshadow of the deadly shooting.
This looks like a bullet heading to Allison's name.
On October 25th, 2011, William and Jennifer Griffer woke up to banging at their front door. When William answered it, a gunman opened fire. Some of the pellets from the shotgun buzzed through their Pierpont Avenue home, hitting Allison where she slept.
That night that she didn't do her homework, she made a large drawing. She actually, months and months later, and we were looking for something to put on her grave bench over there, we found this picture that she drew. And it's actually, she drew the whole night what happened.
Dated October 24th, William and Jennifer believe this is their front door where William was shot. This is William missing his right arm, the place where the pellets grazed him. And this is tiny Allison, with a red band marking the place she was shot, and this, her spirit going to heaven.
Now, she's got check marks all around here. And check marks, to me, usually mean you're done with something. So this is a symbol that she's done. What I see when she drew this picture is that the blood of the Lamb saved Allison so that she could go to heaven, and that the Holy Spirit was at the side of her bed, and he took her there.
In the year following her murder, the family struggles to find normalcy. They've traveled from city to city, too scared to stop anywhere for long. They met me at her gravesite in a cemetery outside Detroit.
Don't really sleep at nights anymore. I'm up at the night.
No one has been charged with a murder.
They didn't mean to kill my little girl. They meant to shoot into the house and scare us, probably run off, and they probably didn't mean to shoot her. And I forgive them. It's in God's hands, and He'll sort it out. All I know is that my little girl's not here anymore. You know, and I got to focus on my kids, on my wife.
I think that if we didn't have each other, I can't imagine letting something like this break us apart, because we need each other. We need each other more than ever now.
And they say they have to be strong for Allison's brothers.
I hope that the bad guys can change and they can find God, and then they can be good and go to heaven.
So what's next for this family? Much like the picture that's given them peace, her parents say they're praying for another message of what to do now.
It's one step at a time. She was so much to me. She was my grocery shopper, and she'd sometimes help us cook. And she was such a part of our family, a big part. It's like we have a missing ingredient in our pie now.
I've been in contact with the family, especially this week, but over the last year, and most recently, Jennifer wrote me something that I want to share with you that I think really summarizes the situation. Here's what she wrote to me. The way we feel is that God has given us peace, and our goal are to pray for the criminals' hearts to be softened and to pray for those who receive organ donations. It's not about agony or pain. God has given us peace, and it's the longing that we're doing.
This is a step in the ongoing investigation into the murder of this little girl.
A major break. Investigators may be closer than ever to closing the Allison Griffer case for good. Today they announced the names of 3 new suspects. Good evening, everyone. I'm John Bruce. Dean Stevens is off tonight.
And I'm Victoria Hansen. 5-year-old Allison Griffer was shot to death as she slept in her family's West Ashley home during what the sheriff calls a botched home invasion. And today, Sheriff Al Cannon named Philip Moses, Franklin Glover, and Lavelle Grant as new suspects in the case. So far, none is in custody. Now, yesterday, the sheriff's office announced the very first arrest in the case, 25-year-old Shyrome Johnson. He is charged with obstruction of justice. He appeared before a judge today. Now, investigators say he lied to them 4 years ago about where he was the night of the shooting.
ABC News 4's Bill Burr joins us live from the Charleston County Sheriff's Office with much more tonight. Bill.
John and Victoria, Sheriff Cannon is frustrated because so much time was lost due to a suspect that lied to investigators. But he's also hopeful that new developments will lead to more arrests in a tragic case that hasn't been solved.
November 9th, 2011, Shyrome Jaquain Johnson was interviewed by our detectives, and he denied having any knowledge of that incident.
Charleston County Sheriff Al Cannon says 25-year-old Shyrome Johnson provided detectives with misleading information. That's why he was charged with obstruction of justice. Johnson stood quietly in court as a judge granted him a $200,000 bond.
Anybody that has information on this case needs to come forward, because if they don't, we're going to find out and we're going to prosecute them too.
Investigators say Johnson was arrested last July on unrelated charges. That's when he admitted to lying to them. Detectives are now looking for these men: Franklin Glover, Philip Moses, and Lavelle Leonard Grant. All 3 are murder suspects in the death of Allison Griffer.
I'm happy that finally, there's some pressure and some developments on this case, and hopefully this will inspire, someone else to come forward.
Richard Douglas and his family are friends with the Griffers. He says Allison's parents are still grieving her death.
It's amazing how they are able to survive. They go by every day. It's a day-to-day challenge. They're visiting her grave like just all the time.
At last check, Crime Stoppers has a $2,000 reward for information leading to an arrest in this case. Sheriff's deputies in the meantime are still looking for Franklin Glover, Philip Moses, and Lavelle Leonard Grant. If you have any information on their whereabouts, you're asked to call Crime Stoppers at 554-1111.